This video is for the Connors RSI2 daily system here. So to get started, go to your workspaces there and just open up the Connor RSI2 daily systems there, and that'll bring up this chart. So this is a pretty straightforward system, right? It's using a very fast RSI, and it's looking for oversold situations when the market is above this longer term moving average there. All right, so there's all the buys. You'll notice there's no sells. So the original system is a buy only, right? Because it's running with the daily market, right? A daily chart. And, if you look at a long-term chart of the markets, right? Markets always go up. So, why try and fight the overall longer-term trend? So this is a buy-only system there. So let's open up Bloodhound and take a look at what's included here. So once again, the original system here. So you will see in all these systems a note here, right, with the source and a video link there, and a short description of what generates a long signal or what generates a short signal there. Also included, right, since this system is pretty simple, right, it's easy to reverse. So why not generate short signals and see what happens there? So we can switch over to the RSI2 5 and 95 modified system there, right? So this will also identify when the RSI crosses 95 as well for short signals there, right? And again, so there we can see there's the description for how a short signal is generated there. All right. Also included are the exit conditions, right? So the original system said exit when price crosses the SMA 5, right? But also included is an exit when price crosses the SMA 7, right? So not quite so tight. You can see here on the chart, right? This is the SMA 5. We can see it is pretty tight. So if you do loosen that up a little bit, right? I mean, just looking at it, it seems common sense that maybe you should give the market a little breathing room there. So we've also included this exit on the SMA 7, which generally speaking, we kind of built it to go with this modified version that generates long and shorts there. So exit on SMA 7. But of course, with the beauty of Bloodhound and Blackbird is you can mix and match and modify these systems, as you see fit there. All right. So next, we'll take a look at the Blackbird systems. All right. To do that, go into the strategies window and we'll go into SharkIndicators, load Blackbird onto the chart. And first, let's load in the Blackbird file. Right. This time, you'll notice there's two Connor RSI2 files there. Right, so there's the original system, and then this other one uses the modified system here. So we'll look at the original first. Load that in, and if you wanted to backtest it on the chart, remember to enable the backtest mode. If you're backtesting using the strategy analyzer, there's no need to do that. So also for the chart, remember you do need to enable, and since this is on a daily chart, you definitely want to turn off the exit on session close there. All right, let's load that up. There we have it. So you'll note when you load in Blackbird that there's two Bloodhounds on your chart. So you don't need the Bloodhound one when you have Blackbird on here. So you can just keep the one that says Blackbird, and you can actually remove the one that says Bloodhound there. But that's up to you if you want to remove those. So let's open up Blackbird and take a look. All right, so you'll notice, first thing we notice, right, there are quite a few order sets here. And that's simply because sometimes you'll get multiple entry signals, right? So if the market keeps going down, as it did here, but it did have an up bar. So that up bar simply pushed the RSI out of that oversold, but sometimes it'll keep coming down. And so we added these extra order sets to scale in, right? to cost average in as the market is going down. So each of these market entries here have a placement option here that controls, how they scale in. So let's take a look at the first scale in order here. So this would be order set B. And if we just simply read this, right, it says, so we need the next trade signal to come in and also at least one ATR in loss. So in other words, right, we need that second bar to move down at least one ATR of distance before this second scale in will execute, right? That way you don't get orders bunching up together, right? Because sometimes the next bar might be a down bar, but it doesn't really close that much lower. So you got to ask yourself, do you really want to be bunching up orders close together? So, so using a 1 ATR spacing or a 1 ATR in loss, causes these orders to spread out as they're scaling in, right? In other words, they won't execute unless the market is actually moving down, a significant amount. So your entry orders aren't bunching up together there, right? And so it's the same, for order set C and D, that ATR loss amount increases there. If we look at the entry signals, as you might expect, this is, for the original system there. So it's so the entry signals is set to the original entry signal system, and the exit signal there is set to the exit on the SMA 5. So again, if you wanted to use that looser SMA 7, right, all you gotta do is switch it over. It's pretty straightforward there. Right? And you'll notice, right, there's no targets, there's no stop losses, per the original Larry Connors system there. You just get out, exit the trade entirely when the market, crosses that SMA 5 there. All right, so next, let's load in the other Blackbird system here for the modified system. And it's going to be pretty much the same here. So for the Bloodhound trade signals, all right, it's the entry is set to the modified, and the exit this time is set to the SMA 7 there, right? And you'll notice this time we only provided one scale in order there, right? So if you wanted all of those other scale in orders, you could just go back to the original system, right? And then adjust your entry and adjust your exit signals there, and then just do a save as, right? With those additional scale in entry orders there. So there's no money management for this. This money management is for daily there. So yeah, this is a pretty simple, straightforward system. So since we're trading on daily charts, there's no money management there. So, and also there's no scheduling either, because scheduling is for intraday charts. All right, that concludes the Connors RSI 2 system.